Welcome to the channel. My name is Coach and I'm your go-to source for everything relating to TNA. Well, sorta, because some of you might have noticed I did not watch TNA last week, and honestly, I just needed a break from the show. The show hasn't hit for me recently, and I just wanted to take a week off and just refresh my brain so I can get into a new mindset when watching TNA. And I'll say tonight's episode, it was pretty good. So let's look at what happened. The show started off with a knockout tag team match between the Inspiration and the team of Tessa Blanchard and Victoria Crawford. Indy Hartwell was also on commentary, but we're going to get into her a bit in a second. So overall, this match was pretty solid. I will say I'm liking how the Knockouts tag team division is being built up. While these are two solid teams, you also have Myla Grace and Harley Hudson, and then obviously the By Elegance brand. So it's really starting to feel like the Knockouts tag team division is also finding its identity. But the key thing here is the Inspiration win the match because Indy Hartwell and Tessa Blanchard have a stare down outside of the ring, and which causes Victoria Crawford to lose the match. So afterwards, Tessa Blanchard and Indy Hartwell kind of have a face-to-face and they have a tiny little brawl. Now, this also leads to Indy Hartwell challenging Tessa Blanchard to a match at Slammiversary. Now, I really like this. Indy Hartwell's rise in TNA has been really solid. They've booked her pretty amazingly so far, and a major pay-per-view match against Tessa Blanchard seems like a perfect place to establish her firmly as the next knockout of the division. Now, when it comes to Tessa Blanchard, I don't think she's going to be in TNA much longer, if I'm going to be honest with you. I was kind of hyped at the start to see what they do with her, but I mean, she was put as a major face of the Knockouts division, and now she's all the way down to being in a tag team, and it doesn't feel like there's any root for her out of it. Not that she's bad, but I think that shine has worn down for her, and you're kind of seeing that, yeah, there's not really a lot there for her anymore. So while I still think she's gonna have a good match with Indy Hartwell, I just don't see her in the long-term picture for the knockouts, but I'm excited for this upcoming match. Then we have another Mustafa Ali and Order 4 segment. I saw last week that Cedric Alexander debuted in TNA. I missed that, but I'm at least aware of what happened. Now the Order 4, at least the Great Hands and Tasha Steelz, call out Cedric Alexander and they call out Mustafa Ali, and they have a really emotional promo about how Cedric Alexander is here to help Mustafa Ali because this isn't the real Mustafa Ali. But Mustafa Ali doesn't want his help. Mustafa Ali tries to attack Cedric Alexander. Cedric Alexander dodges it, and Mustafa Ali runs out of the ring and goes away. Like I always say, Mustafa Ali is the MVP of TNA, and everything going on with the Order 4, it's just so entertaining. And there's another major story I want to talk about a bit later, but let's focus on this. I'm really hyped for this. I think Cedric Alexander versus Mustafa Ali is going to be a major match. And like I always say, anyone who does anything with Mustafa Ali just comes out of it better. Santana came out of that feud a lot better. Everybody in the Order 4 went out of it a lot better. Hell, Jason Arch is one of my favorite low-key superstars right now. And then obviously I think Cedric Alexander is going to come out of this amazing. But I also kind of hope that Cedric Alexander replaces Mustafa Ali. I kind of want Cedric Alexander not to be the leader, but to keep being a team with the Great Hands and Tasha Steelz. I think they kind of feel a vibe, you know. I kind of can see them work together. Now again, I'm very excited for this match. I think over the next coming weeks the build's gonna be amazing, and this is gonna be one of my most hyped matches going into Slammiversary. And as someone that hasn't really liked Cedric Alexander in a very long time, I think I'm excited to see if Mustafa Ali can do the same for him like he did for everyone else with me. Then we have something that I am very questionable about. We had the Knockouts Championship defended in the middle of the show between Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly in a chain match. Like, okay, I don't understand this at all. Now, like, I get it. I'm going to talk about this in a second. I kind of see where they're coming from. I just don't feel what we're doing here. So Masha Slamovich retains against Killer Kelly. The feud felt very rushed. I was very hyped for this feud. I felt like this could be the marquee Masha Slamovich feud, but honestly, I don't feel like anything really happened. I don't feel like this was a great feud at all. I think it was kind of nothing. It was absolutely forgettable. And the chain match was also kind of just there. I didn't really feel like the match blew me away or anything. Not saying it wasn't a good match. It was a solid match. I just felt like it didn't have a moment, and being stuck in the middle of the card just made it feel very forgettable. So I don't really get what we're doing. So Masha Slamovich retains. Good for her. I think that's the right result too. And then after match, Fatal Influence attacks her. Now here's the thing. Apparently, at Slammiversary, Masha Slamovich is going to defend the championship against either JC Jane or Jordan Grace. Now I think the result here is going to be pretty obvious. If you watch my NXT videos, you know that I've been saying it makes a lot of sense that Jordan Grace is going to win that NXT Women's Championship. It just feels right. And now this kind of confirms it, because I don't see them having JC Jane face Masha Slamovich. It doesn't feel like a big match, and since it's going to be for both titles, I can't see JC Jane holding both championships. I feel like that would be mad disrespectful to TNA. No offense to JC Jane, but I also really don't see them putting the NXT Women's Championship on Masha Slamovich. I don't see that happening. So what makes the most sense is Jordynne Grace winning that NXT Women's Championship, coming to TNA and winning the Knockouts Championship, because everybody's been complaining about Masha Slamovich's reign, and Jordynne Grace was the last good champion, so I can see TNA kind of wanting that. Do I think this is the best result? No, I absolutely don't think we should do this at all, honestly. I think we should just stray away from this. Hell, maybe still pivot if you want. I don't think we should do this, because Trick Williams' reign, cool, hasn't worked out, right? I don't think we should do any of this brand exchange championships anymore. I don't think this is going to work out very well for anyone. Not a lot happening here, but I just want to talk about Eric Young absolutely going off. He insults the hometown man. I really like the hometown man. And then he also insults his Northern Armory, asking them if they're with him or not. And then later on during the night, we see the hometown man getting attacked. So it was probably Eric Young. It just makes sense. Just wanted to mention this. Eric Young being unhinged and a psychopath is just the best Eric Young. So let's just keep doing with that. It's very entertaining. Next, we had a few matches, so let's just run through them. Matt Cardona defeats Eddie Edwards in a pretty solid match, but the match ends because Brian Myers stops Eddie Edwards from cheating, and that causes Matt Cardona to be able to roll Eddie Edwards up. I'm really invested in this story. I'm really liking what's happening here. I've consistently said I want to see more stories like this, and along with the Order 4 story, this right now is one of the better stories in TNA, and I'm really enjoying this. I want to see what's gonna happen between Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards. I was gonna say I don't see them breaking up the system, but I really can, because what's Moose been doing, what's JDC been doing, I don't know. I don't see the system going on much longer, at least how they are now. And this feels like a really good breakup story, and it feels like it makes a lot of sense. Now, I don't know what either man will do afterwards, because I don't see them going anywhere, but maybe they can go for the International Championship. Yeah, sure. I'm just excited to have a good story and see what they're telling. But after the match, Dark State attacks Matt Cardona, yeah, team from NXT. I kind of predicted this happening, but yeah, I don't know. I don't care about this. Like I said, they keep making Dark State out to be this big bad team, and then they attack Matt Cardona. Realistically, let's be honest. Let's try and pretend we're Dark State right now. What does attacking Matt Cardona do whatsoever? You didn't even attack the system, who have one championship or a relatively dominant team in TNA. You didn't attack them, you attacked Matt Cardona. Matt Cardona is nothing in TNA right now. So you attack the guy that's nothing. So we're going to get a match between, yeah, maybe we'll get Brian Myers leaving the system and teaming up with Matt Cardona to face Dark State. But again, does that really impact anything? If this is that big plan they talked about, God, it's a shit plan. So while I don't necessarily like what happened with Darkseid, I think the whole thing with the system, Matt Cardona, Brian Myers was pretty entertaining. Then we also have a match between Jake Something and Mance Warner, which ends in disqualification after Steve Macklin interferes, and it just turns into a whole brawl. And then it's announced that this will be an international championship match. So honestly, I don't care about Jake Something either. I don't feel with him. He's had so many stop-start pushes that I don't really feel invested in him. Now, he really fits the international division, or at least what we've built for it, really well. I just don't care. I'd rather see a Steve Macklin versus Mance Warner match again. I would much rather be interested in that. Like, I'm sorry, I just don't care about Jake Something. Give me Steve Macklin, someone I'm really starting to buy into. Well, I'm bought into him by now. And then Mance Warner, someone who I see a lot of potential. Just give me a match between them instead. Don't add Jake Something in here. Then you also had a match. Nick Nemeth defeats Zachary Wentz. Zachary Wentz had another guy with him. Apparently his match was supposed to be between Trey Miguel and Nick Nemeth, but Trey Miguel has an injury and he's out. So I don't know if they're gonna be able to do this tag team match. But overall, this was also another really solid match. Nick Nemeth picks up a victory. That's all fine and good. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say here because I don't know what's gonna happen. So I'm gonna check back up next week and see if Trey Miguel is healthy. But for now, I'm just gonna assume this is the feud we're going with. And then in the main event, we have a King's Speech held by Frankie Kazarian, and he invites all the challengers for the Slammiversary match: Trick Williams, Joe Henry, and Mike Santana. This was pretty neat. I felt like it was just a regular segment. You didn't have to say it was the King's Speech. It was no special designs or anything. It was just your basic promo, something we've actually seen before probably. All the challengers go off. It ends with Trick Williams and Frankie Kazarian laying out Mike Santana and Joe Henry. While I'm really not invested in any of the build-up, it doesn't feel whatsoever entertaining. Honestly, the way they've been building it up on NXT has been way more entertaining than the way they've been building it up on TNA. But overall, I am more excited about seeing what happens in the match, because I think they have to pull the trigger on Mike Santana. If they don't pull the trigger on Mike Santana and make him the TNA World Champion, then you're kind of doing the same thing you did with Joe Henry, pulling the trigger too late. Now, I also see a world where they have Trick Williams retain the championship. I can see that happening. And that's probably why Joe Henry is in the match. You want to have Trick Williams lose, but you don't want to pin Trick Williams. So Joe Henry is in the match to take a pin, which kind of sucks for Joe Henry. But it would make a lot of sense seeing as Joe Henry, his contract is going to end soon. And he's not going to resign with TNA. There's obviously a lot of interest in him from WWE. So my theory is that, well, it's not probably my theory. I think a lot of people have probably come to this conclusion, but I don't check out online that much. Joe Henry is gonna lose, and then he's gonna turn on TNA and join NXT, and then he's gonna be a villain in TNA, and that's how we're gonna play out his contract. That seemed like a very likely outcome to me. Now, if I had to give the Nitro rating, I'd say it was a solid 8 out of 10. There was a few things that confused me, especially the Dark State stuff, especially the Masha Slamovich match. But overall, I think I said overall twice there. I think this was a really solid show. Not bad at all. I quite enjoyed it. I think having a break from last week was really good, and it really helped me. And like I always say, you can kind of miss an episode of TNA and not really miss anything. I don't think I missed anything from last week whatsoever. Just the Cedric Alexander stuff, but I just watched the video and I'm up to date. So yeah, that's definitely a problem for TNA. But overall, I'm into the show. I felt like this was a good show, and I'm excited to see what happens next week. So if you liked the video, please leave a like, subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. I cover NXT and TNA weekly along with some other stuff. So if that interests you, leave a like, subscribe. I hope to see you again soon. Goodbye, everyone.